ecology is the scientific study of the interactions between organisms and their environment. This field of biology focuses on understanding how living organisms, including plants, animals, and microorganisms, interact with each other and with the non-living components of their surroundings, such as air, water, and soil. And ecologists studies the natural relationships between the air, land, water, animals, plants, and others. Then we can compare the growth rates of trees affected by various factors by measuring the data. In this practical, we will learn about normal distribution and its parameters, the mean and variance, and initial understanding about correlatives of this practical is to calculate and describe the following descriptive statistics: mean, variance, and standard deviation. The second is to understand the concept of correlation, and the third is to determine the relationship between the two variables. The material that we use are leaves, roller, green paper, and weighing scale. Next is the procedure. Perfect. So this is the result of set 1. This is the result for set 2. This is the result for set 2. This graph is a scalar plot illustrating the relationship between length and width for a set of data points, likely involving measurements of leaf dimensions. Each blue dot represents an individual data point plotted with its corresponding width on the x-axis and the length on the y-axis. The graph suggests that there is a direct relationship between the width and length of the leaves being studied. As the width of a leaf increases, its length tends to increase proportionally. The graph is not linear and not always decrease or increase because of many factors such as water, light, and nutrient availability, temperature, and evolutionary adaptations such as competitions.
Next, for discussion part. First, statistic is a branch of mathematics that deals with the collection, analysis, interpretation, presentation, and organization of numerical data. It provides methods for summarizing and describing data, making inferences or prediction about population based on sample data, and testing hypotheses. Second, variation is a fundamental concept in statistics and is crucial for understanding the behavior of data, making comparison, and drawing conclusion. Various statistical measures such as variance, standard deviation, and range are used to quantify and analyze variation within datasets. Third, correlation refers to the statistical relationship or association between two variables. It measures the extent to which changes in one variable are associated with changes in another variables. Fourth, the correlation coefficient is a numerical measure that quantifies the strength and direction of the relationship between the variables. A correlation coefficient of 1 indicates a perfect positive correlation, meaning that as one variable increases, the other variable also increases proportionally. A correlation coefficient of -1 indicates a perfect negative correlation, meaning that as one variable increases, the other variable decreases proportionally. Fifth, correlation is a measure of association, but it does not imply causation. Just because two variables are correlated does not mean that changes in one variable cause changes in the other variable. Other factors may be influencing the relationship.
Next, in conclusion, the objective of this practical are successfully achieved. By calculating the mean, variance, and standard deviation, the central tendency, spread, and variability of the dataset can be critically understood. These statistics serve as the basis for data analysis, enabling researchers to efficiently summarize, evaluate, and compare data. Next, we understand the concept of correlation between different variables. Lastly, we get to determine the relationship between two variables, which is the leaf length and leaf weight. Next, we will move on to the post-lab question. First question is to discuss the differences or similarity of the mean of length between different sets of leaf. Do the same for the mean of width. In this practice, we can see that set 1, set 2 and set 3 have different means of leaf length between different sets of leaf. Means for set 1, set 2 and set 3 are 13.42, 11.15 and 8.55 respectively. The reason for this is that the leaves that were collected are from various species. Each plant may get different nutrients from different places. Larger and thinner leaves are common in areas with plenty of water, while smaller and thicker leaves are more common in dry areas to prevent water loss. Next, mean of width for set 1, set 2 and set 3 are 4.4, 5.1 and 3.8 respectively. We can see that set 2 is the highest mean and followed by set 1 and set 3. The particular reason for this circumstance is that plants in high light conditions may develop wider leaves to maximize light capture. The same goes with plants in low light conditions, which develop narrower leaves to avoid shading their own leaf to optimize light penetration. Both leaf length and leaf weight are influenced by environmental factors. These factors work together to determine the overall size and shape of leaf that help plants to adapt to their specific environment and optimize their growth and survival.
For post-lab question number 2, what is meant by variance? The leaves have different measurements of width and length. What is the meaning of this statement? Discuss with respect to variance. What is meant by standard deviation? Variance defined as mean squared, difference between each data point, and the center of distribution measured by mean. In statistics, variance is a measure of how much the values in a dataset deviate from the mean average. There are variations in length and width of a group of leaves. There is no similar individual in population, whether in appearance or size. Meaning of these statements, the leaves have different measurements of width and length. Also about the measurements of width and length have different value on different leaves due to there are different parts of plants, which from different parts of stems, upper part, middle part, and lower part. So according to this experiment, there are 10 leaves for each set, which the total of leaves are 30. From the table, total length is 84 cm, 111.5 cm, 75.1 cm, meanwhile total width is 40.8 cm, 51 cm and 33.4 cm for set 1, 2 and 3 respectively. Furthermore, the value of variance in length for set 1, 2 and 3 is 1.067, 2.4128 and 1.354333. For value of variance in width is 0.2151, 0.3733 and 0.05377 for each set 1, 2 and 3. Based on this result, it shows that there is a different measurements in length and width for each leaves. A standard deviation is another measure of the dispersion or spread of a dataset, similar to variance. However, it is often preferred over variance because it is expressed in the same units as the original data, making it easier to interpret. Standard deviation has divided into two standards, which is low standard and high standard. Low standard deviation means that the data points in the dataset are clustered closely around the mean. In other words, there is little variation among the data points, and they are relatively consistent. And high standard deviation suggests that the data points are more spread out from the mean. These indicate greater variability among the data points, with some potentially being far from the mean. Third and the last postulate question: why is it necessary to have different sets of measurements for the measurement of leaf width and length? It is necessary to have different sets of measurements for the measurement of leaf width and length. It is because to obtain a more precise understanding of the shape of the leaf and how it may be influenced by environmental condition or the age of the leaf by taking different sets of measurements of the width and length of the leaves. Additionally, measuring the width and length of the leaves separately allows comparison of the data. It is also to help understand the relationship between the width and length of the leaves and identify patterns or trends from doing so.